Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about what I believe is the most criminal zodiac sign. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Anyway, people, well, first of all, I want to elaborate and expound what I mean by this. As far as the most criminal zodiac sign, which one zodiac sign has the greatest proclivity or propensity to commit crimes? Well, first off, I want to start out with talking about Aries. Now, Aries certainly may be up there considering having an acerbic nature. They could be very acrimonious. I mean, Aries could be very combative. Their crimes would be strongly connected with ones of a volatile nature. But the thing about Aries is it's really they're not the ones I would think that are plotting and strongly carrying out crimes. They are people. I mean, they do have they have the worst temper of the zodiac, but I don't see them as the ones that are that would have the propensity to commit the most crimes on average. So Aries is very forgiving and forgetting. They could blow up quick, but they forgive and forget quick, and they're not ones to exact any real vengeance on people. And a lot of times that's connected with crimes and criminal behavior. So going to Taurus. Well, Taurus is one of the more gentle signs of the zodiac. I know there was something online that stated that there were more Taurus serial killers than anyone else. I don't know if they probably were just looking at the sun sign as far as it goes. I didn't open the link up or really look in detail as far as what they meant exactly by that. But as far as they were just talking about the sun sign, but that's probably all they were referring to. But the thing about Taurus is now Taurus. I mean, I understand they could have a lot of suppressed anger, and when they explode, it can be very, very strong energy. They can also, Taurus is likely they could be right up there in terms of like the money crimes because Taurus is connected with money. You look at that guy that was involved, was it Bernie Madoff, the one that had that Ponzi scheme, and he got all kinds of notoriety for it. He had at least one Taurus planet that was squaring his Leo ascendant, and obviously these things were done on a very large scale. But Taurus is generally, very passive, very gentle energy. Taurus can really show very benign expression. It would be hard for me to think that on average a Taurus would commit the most crimes. That thing with that serial killers, they probably weren't even factoring in the moon and the ascendant anyway. On that, it's been stated that Taurus can be very dangerous. Really, I don't really think Taurus is really that dangerous. Zodiac sign. Like I stated, a lot of these statistics are based on the sun sign. They're not factoring in the moon and the ascendant. But going to Gemini. Well, Gemini could have very mercurial and vacillating nature. Gemini is a sign, of course, that could be very fickle and changeable. They could be right up there in terms of criminal activity because Gemini is they represent the antithesis of Sagittarius, and Sagittarius, of course, can be connected with the law. Gemini sometimes will often try to outmaneuver the law. I've had some Gemini rising friends that sadly were very corrupt, and they would just want to outmaneuver the law. I think there's a slickness with Gemini that they just want. It's almost like this mental challenge for them, but a lot of them are gonna try to do things to be adversarial to the law, to see what they can get away with. I think a lot of times with Gemini, it's not monetary related. It's something where they just want to be able to outmaneuver some system and something that they can gloat later and say, ha, I did this, I got away with this. So Gemini can be right up there, but I'll tell you at the end of the video whether I think it's Gemini or not. Now going to the zodiac sign Cancer. Well, Cancer, you see them on that FBI most wanted, I don't know if it's the FBI most wanted, but that FBI, thing on you'll see on the internet when you Google, most crimes, and that Cancer apparently was apprehended more than any other zodiac sign. Well, the thing is, they're talking about as far as Cancer goes, of course, they're just going by the sun sign for obvious reasons. They're not going with the moon. They're not factoring in the moon and the ascendant in the equation. And they're also, people got to remember that Cancer might actually, even if the moon and the ascendant would ever be factored in, and it was determined that Cancer was apprehended the most, that wouldn't prove that they commit the most crimes. Cancer, what it is they get so caught up in their emotions, they just go haywire. I think what happens is Cancer can leave a lot of evidence behind because their emotions are so predominant in them, and that's what causes them often to mess up. And their crimes are often connected, I would say, with very strong emotional energy, and because of that, that's why Cancer, at least as far as the sun sign, may be apprehended the most. But that doesn't mean that they commit the most crimes of all the zodiac signs. Now, going to Leo. Well, seeing Leo in a negative manifestation would commit crimes a lot of times for glory and getting the notoriety. Leo could be that person that can go and commit a crime and then sit back on their easy chair in their couch and watch the headlines on TV and getting all this coverage. We're trying to find this guy. We're trying to find this person. Who is this person that committed all these crimes and all these notorious offenses? If I'm not mistaken, that Zodiac killer in New York City from the early to mid 90s, 1990s, I think his sun sign was Leo, and he probably really enjoyed that notoriety and recognition that he received from doing this. But Leo, it doesn't seem like a sign to me that they would be the ones that would commit the most crimes, would be the most criminal of the zodiac signs, because they are very dignified, very proud people often, and I don't know if they would want to often lower themselves to do something like that. They think that they believe in their heart that they can make their living. They could do things without having to resort to crime. I think for me, I would say no to Leo. But going to Virgo. Well, Virgo is known to be very scrupulous, very upright. They're known for their very ethical and proper behavior. So it would be hard-pressed for me to say that Virgo would be the zodiac sign that would commit the most crimes, or have the greatest propensity toward criminal activity. But Virgo, when committing crimes, there may be more Virgo criminals than we actually are cognizant of, because Virgo can be very meticulous, and I'm sure when they clean up their mess, they're the ones that clean up most of the mess. They vacuum up their evidence and whatever they have to do, and they don't really miss too many details. And because of that, Virgo I don't think they're the ones that commit the most crimes, but they're up there in terms of who can get away with it the most. But anyway, I don't think Virgo is the most criminal of the zodiac signs. Now, going to Libra. Well, Libra is a zodiac sign, of course. They're connected with justice, their fairness, and they want things fair and equitable. They often will be going with the law. That when Libra commits crimes, I think it can often be when they somehow rationalize their crimes, saying that the law is not fair to them, or it's a vigilante situation where they go out as a vigilante and commit crimes for that reason. But Libra likes to have things very fair. They are about peace and harmony and tranquility. And if they were to go out and commit a crime, it would a lot of times it can put a lot of unnecessary stress on Libra, and Libra doesn't and really can abhor that. So I would say that Libra would not be the one that commits the most crimes. I don't think they're the most criminal of the zodiac signs. Now, going to Scorpio. Well, Scorpio certainly can be right up there. They may be the sign that might be the most criminal of the zodiac signs. Now, I understand that with Scorpio, Scorpio could be very surreptitious, very sneaky. They are the ones that could often commit the crimes and not get away with it. Cancer, they had the sun in Cancer again, stating that they were like #1 on that FBI list of crimes, but that was based on who was apprehended, and also again that doesn't factor in the moon and the ascendant. You look at some Scorpio people could be very diabolical. You look at Charles Manson, what he did with all his manipulation and getting all these people to kill for him. You look at was that Omar Mateen that went in and just started shooting somebody in some nightclub one time. I think it was 2016 he did this. He was a sun in Scorpio. You have two notorious serial killers of Scorpio rising. You look at that, the son of Sam, and that one, who was the Boston Strangler. He has Scorpio rising. His chart I think might have been like a B or C rating on Astro.com, but it wouldn't shock me if he was actually Scorpio rising. But you look at these people, and again, that FBI list, not to be redundant, but they're not looking at the moon and the ascendant for obvious reasons, because that's not how they're compiling their data, obviously. But Scorpio may very well be the most criminal of the zodiac signs, but I'll let you know at the end of the video whether I think it's them or not. Now, going to Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius, it would be hard for me to say that they would be the most criminal of the zodiac signs, because Sagittarius, being ruled by Jupiter, they are connected with the law. They are about the veritable truth. Sometimes it's their own truth, but they're not ones that I would say would be the most criminal of the zodiac signs. So they are often about their honesty, and they like to often have things very ethical. But I think when you look at Sagittarius, they're not the ones that would commit the most crimes, because they are again about being very ethical. They're about the law. They want their justice and the truth. So I would say Sagittarius would not be the ones that would commit the most crimes of all the zodiac signs. Now, going to Capricorn. Well, I would say no means that Capricorn would be one that would be associated with more of if Capricorn was to commit a crime, it would be more connected with the business, the business element. They would be, as far as, and also vilifying others' reputation. If somebody is a competitor with them, Capricorn might be like a business competitor. They may be the ones to commit a crime that's connected with that, something business related, and it would be, or something that holds like a political agenda to them, or something. If somebody's a threat to their own, maybe their notoriety, their recognition, what they can accomplish on a career level, their ambitions, their success, that is when Capricorn might have a propensity to commit certain crimes. Capricorn doesn't always play fair, so they actually could be up there. But the thing about in Capricorn, crimes could be very well planned out because they're about their premeditation and planning. But I really think that Capricorn is so often engrossed in what they have to do for themselves in terms of their career, where they're attaining those kind of ambitions, their career aspirations, business related matters, and really not they really and they're just and being given the fact that they're so cautious and so prudent, it's not a sign that I would say that would be the one that would be the most criminal minded. Capricorn often works within the parameters of things that are set out for them, as far as abiding authority as well. So anyway, now going to Aquarius. Well, Aquarius would certainly be, certainly is not a sign that I would think would be what I would correlate with being the most criminal of the zodiac signs. Now Aquarius, if they're committing crimes, it could be ones that could be of a very, you know, innovative, or not just using innovation to do it. They might, it's a lot of times it could be cyber crimes. Sometimes it can be through misrepresentation. But when if Aquarius was to commit some kind of crime, it could often be one through some kind of computer or electronic means, I would say. Those would be the crimes that they would do. But Aquarius can often be very humanitarian, very selfless, very benevolent in their expression. And it's just hard pressed for me to say that they would be the ones that would commit the most crimes. Hold on a moment, people. But anyway, well, as far as now the next sign, last sign on this list is Pisces, of course, and you know, as far as signs I'm talking about. Well, Pisces can be up there, I think, in terms of criminal activity. Pisces can really be very duplicitous and very deceptive, and don't get me wrong, but they could be the most well-meaning people out there, very altruistic, very compassionate, but Pisces is so impressionable and so influenced by the company they keep. If they're around criminal company, so to speak, and corrupt people, they could be very easily led and influenced by those people and that kind of activity that they could be connected with. They're very malleable. They blend in very well, sometimes very good, or it could be very bad. But Pisces, being the fact that they do have very well-meaning energy, and they're very timid as well and submissive, and I think sometimes Pisces just doesn't have the courage to, so to speak, in a warped sense, is that courage, I put courage in quotes, to go out and do these things. They're often connected with their isolation and their seclusion, so they often will be hiding from the world, so they're not actually going out committing these crimes. The crimes that they may commit, however, often could be ones that are crimes of deception, like identity theft or something alcohol related or drug related. So, well, anyway, the sign I think is the most criminal is Scorpio. I think almost unequivocally. Now, they may not be on that top of that FBI list or whatever for those criminals that are apprehended, but apprehended is the key word. And because they weren't apprehended, a lot of Scorpios are not apprehended. It doesn't mean they're not committing the crimes. Also, they're not factoring in the moon and the ascendant for obvious reasons when they're compiling this data. Also, Scorpio, again, could be very surreptitious, very sneaky. They're ruled by Pluto. Pluto can be associated with crime. Scorpio is the one of all the signs, I believe, that likely does commit most of the crimes, but they often, I say, Scorpio can cover their tracks very well. Remember that one that was D'Angelo, that one that was in that, you know, that did those crimes. It's, I know, some kind of California killer. He's a Scorpio sun, and he had gotten away with it for so many years. I believe he was also a member of law enforcement. So Scorpio can put on a really good facade, and Scorpio will go like, you know, around, they'll commit their crimes and they will act like, you know, nothing happened. They'll be very cool about it for a long time. And again, they put on, it's ironic because they could put on their subterfuge and put on a good superficial front, a very placid countenance, but they are the ones that can often go through subterfuge and superficiality. So it seems like it works very strongly either way with Scorpio. They're often very much connected with law enforcement. They could be the quintessential ultimate detectives, but they are the ones that I think are the hardest for detectives to actually unveil as criminals, because Scorpio does things in a way that is often very surreptitious, very sneaky. They are the ones, you know, connected with darkness. They are the ones that will commit a lot of those crimes. They plan them very well. They could be very diabolical, and Scorpio will often commit these crimes when they won't be seen by they plan them in a way where they have the greatest propensity, I guess you could say, or at least propensity or what have you, for witnesses. And also they're very manipulative as well. So I think what happens is Scorpio often will have other people commit their crimes for them, and they keep their hands clean, so to speak, at least for a certain amount of time. And then, of course, Scorpio's house of cards falls down just like everybody's does eventually in most cases. But Scorpio is the one, I think, that actually commits the most crimes. We'll never be able, since my theory is that they get away with so many, it's hard to really prove that statistically, but I do believe Scorpio is the one that commits the most crimes, is the most criminal of the zodiac signs. Well, anyway, people, this is Edwin Learnard, and until next time, stay well.